faithfully delivering value, exploring great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we're diving into the book Rework 3 Breaking Free from the Hustle Culture. In this era where 996 and involution dominate conversations, it seems companies must operate at warp speed to succeed. Yet, one company defies this norm. Their employees work just 40-hour weeks, even shortening to 32 hours in summer. After 3 years, employees get an extra month's vacation plus $5,000 travel bonus. Fewer hours, same pay. Back in 2014, their per-employee revenue hit $3 million, over double Google's. Salaries match San Francisco levels, the world's highest-paying city. Despite zero San Francisco employees, this company, Basecamp, was founded in 1999, headquartered in Chicago, USA. Their flagship product is the Basecamp project management tool. Authors Jason Fried, CEO, and David Heinemeier Hansen, CTO, built Basecamp to stay small, perfecting one product with minimal staff. Started with 3 people, now just over 40 after 2 decades, proving slow growth works.
Both authors advocate escaping hustle culture. Financial writer Wu Xiaobo calls Rework 3 the dawn of slow companies.
The Economist named it 2020's best management book. It's Rework 3, as the authors previously co-wrote Rework 1 and 2. Their earlier books introduced Basecamp's business philosophy and remote work approach. Sally's Book Club previously covered Rework 1, simpler, more effective business thinking. Now Rework 3 reveals Basecamp's actual workflow, showcasing exceptionally calm tech culture. I'll explore 3 key themes. First, why companies need calm strategic direction. Second, management strategies. The boss needs to stay calm. Third, in practical work, employees need to stay calm. First, let's look at the first aspect. In strategic direction, companies need to stay calm. The authors believe that the most important thing for companies in their strategic direction is to generate profits. The reason Basecamp can be so unconventional ultimately comes down to its financial security. From the very first month of its founding in 1999, Basecamp was profitable, and it has remained profitable every year for over 2 decades. If a company is always burning cash, always in a loss-making state, everyone in the company will inevitably go crazy. For the company, continuously burning cash without profits means investors might interfere with business direction, and the company loses absolute control. For employees, burning cash won't last forever. Once the cash burning stops, if the business lines haven't taken off, they'll likely be cut, and layoffs could happen at any moment. But if the company has sufficient profitability, it's completely different. The company can calmly think about future directions and carefully explore potential growth spaces. However, in reality, many tech companies don't prioritize profit generation. Some companies aim to acquire new users and expand market share. Others aim for high cash flow and maintaining high turnover. The authors understand these grand goals. They're meant to win more financing or achieve higher valuations. But they firmly hold on to a simple truth. If a restaurant serves a huge amount of food but loses money on every meal, do you think it'll succeed? Of course not. Basecamp has always consciously controlled its growth pace, never trading cash burning for scale. This is also why the authors believe companies need to stay calm in their second strategic direction. Don't expand blindly or try to increase scale. This logic is opposite to that of many companies. Most entrepreneurs believe that when a company is doing well, it should develop more products, enhance competitiveness, and expand market share. But Basecamp believes that only by staying within a certain scale can a company remain calm and control its own destiny. Looking back over Basecamp's 20-plus years of development, it has deliberately maintained a small and beautiful state. Around 2005, Basecamp was already thriving with few competitors. They could have developed various side projects beyond their core product to diversify offerings, boost competitiveness, and expand market share. Basecamp did create some side products, but they soon found business lines getting complex. Maintaining them drained massive energy, Employees became frantic and company-wide pressure mounted. The authors rejected this chaos and gradually axed side products, keeping only the core. Basecamp didn't even want side products, let alone unrelated ventures. While others chased free machine learning tools or chatbots, Basecamp remained focused, steadily upgrading their core product. They set no ambitious quarterly or annual goals nor chased market share. Goals? Market share? The authors insist these don't matter. What truly counts is a healthy business, controlled costs, and profitable products. Regarding strategy, the authors caution, don't blindly copy best practices from others. Every mature industry has seemingly great templates, like optimal pricing strategies or performance review systems. These become industry benchmarks that others rush to mimic. But the authors advise, when encountering such practices, calmly assess whether your company meets their prerequisites. Never assume a best practice is the only solution. Others' best practices should only serve as support. They're like training wheels, helpful only when you're learning balance. Rely on them too long and you'll never ride independently. Every company should forge its own path, creating unique practices and models. All right, that concludes part 1. In strategic direction, companies need calm. First and foremost, pursue profits. Financial security enables true control. Second, avoid blindly burning cash to expand scale or add business lines. Third, don't mindlessly copy others' best practices. Find what fits your own model. Having covered strategic direction, let's now examine the second aspect. In management strategies, bosses need calm. Specifically, this includes 3 areas: work direction, team management, and corporate culture. First, regarding work direction, bosses need to stay calm. The author's first suggestion for bosses: stop randomly tossing ideas at employees. Ever notice how some bosses constantly come up with new ideas? Like seeing another company's project and saying, "That looks simple, let's try it too." But after employees scramble, problems emerge. What seemed easy is actually complex, with unforeseen difficult details. The authors compare this boss behavior to low-hanging fruit, meaning tasks that appear extremely simple at other companies. To bosses, it seems like fruit on the lowest branches, easy to grab without effort. But the authors warn, once you're under the tree, even the lowest fruit may be unreachable. Jumping won't help, ladders might fail, and this chaotic pursuit derails everything. And the last corner, disguise. What about the company's original direction? Employees' carefully made plans? Bosses' sudden ideas unconsciously scatter focus? Bosses might say, just a suggestion. But to employees, nothing from the boss is ever just anything. When your payer mentions something, it instantly becomes top priority. Thus, the authors stress, bosses must restrain from constantly tossing random ideas. The author's second suggestion, when decisions are made, commit fully to supporting them. This advice comes from Amazon's Jeff Bezos, who often disagreed but committed to backing his team's calls. Like, when Amazon Studios pushed for an original series Bezos deemed unfunny, complex, and commercially risky, with better options available, yet he supported the insistent team. So Bezos responded, I disagree with your view, but I commit to supporting you and hope it becomes our most popular show yet. Basecamp also follows this disagree but commit principle. Bosses should do this for 2 main reasons. First, superiors should fully trust their subordinates' professionalism. Second, if teams must convince everyone before acting, decision-making becomes painfully slow, wasting tremendous time and energy. Thus, the authors believe superiors shouldn't need convincing, just understanding the explanation suffices. Then take supportive action. That concludes work direction. For team management, the authors suggest, first, bosses should only check outcomes, not monitor activities. Some bosses track real-time locations, calling if employees aren't at desks, and monitor whether they're slacking off. But does this actually work? Even if you see them, how can you know they're truly working? The authors advise calm management. Stop demanding status updates. Assume every employee's stance is, I'm working hard, respect my time and focus. Basecamp doesn't even require office attendance. Their 48 full-time employees span over 30 cities worldwide. Only 14 work at Chicago HQ, and remote staff needn't display online status. Beyond progress tracking, some bosses seek employee feedback, saying, "My door's always open if you have issues." About this, the authors suggest, an open door isn't enough. You must walk out. Because employees know giving feedback is a minefield. What happens when raising tough issues? Will they be labeled troublemakers? Seen as work shirkers? Could it damage their career prospects? If bosses don't take real action to ease employees' concerns, who'd risk their career for an empty open door promise? Well, so the authors argue that bosses who genuinely want company insights must clearly communicate this intention. The best approach? Proactively leave your office and initiate conversations. Ask things like, anything in recent work you'd redo? Or specifically, suggestions before we launch the website redesign? And sincerely thank those who give thoughtful responses. Bosses must also realize, even with this effort, honest answers take time to surface. An employee needs certainty that truthful feedback won't backfire. Initially, you might hear only 20% of the truth. Later, perhaps 50%. A truly trustworthy boss might reach 80%. As the authors wryly note, don't expect 100%. No employee will bare their soul to their boss. That concludes team management. Finally, corporate culture. Many bosses push family culture, making offices home, like with game rooms, gyms, nap pods.
But the authors insist this is misguided, even manipulative.
They sharply note companies aren't homes. Only manipulative bosses use this emotional ploy to make employees prioritize work over real families, while flashy perks blur work-life boundaries. Ultimately, play serves work, exercise serves work. Employees never truly leave the office. Thus, the authors say, this isn't generosity, it's insidious. So what's their recommendation? Companies should support families, providing fulfilling work while letting employees clock out to be present spouses, parents, siblings. Basecamp's 40-hour weeks, 32 in summer, exemplify this. Second, in management strategies, the boss needs to stay calm. Third, in practical work, employees need to stay calm. First, let's look at the first aspect. In strategic direction, companies need to stay calm. The authors believe that the most important thing for companies in their strategic direction is to generate profits. Now, the reason Basecamp can be so unconventional ultimately comes down to its financial security. From the very first month of its founding in 1999, Basecamp was profitable, and it has remained profitable every year for over 2 decades. If a company is always burning cash, always in a loss-making state, everyone in the company will inevitably go crazy. For the company, continuously burning cash without profits means investors might interfere with business direction, and the company loses absolute control. For employees, burning cash won't last forever. Once the cash burning stops, if the business lines haven't taken off, they'll likely be cut, and layoffs could happen at any moment. But if the company has sufficient profitability, it's completely different. The company can calmly think about future directions and carefully explore potential growth spaces. However, in reality, many tech companies don't prioritize profit generation. Some companies aim to acquire new users and expand market share. Others aim for high cash flow and maintaining high turnover.
The authors understand these grand goals. They're meant to win more financing or achieve higher valuations.
But they firmly hold on to a simple truth. If a restaurant serves a huge amount of food but loses money on every meal, do you think it'll succeed? Of course not. Basecamp has always consciously controlled its growth pace, never trading cash burning for scale. This is also why the authors believe companies need to stay calm in their second strategic direction. Don't expand blindly or try to increase scale. How to achieve this? The authors offer 3 suggestions. First, implement library rules in offices. Everyone knows libraries prohibit loud talking. Applied to offices. If someone's at their desk, assume they're focused. Don't interrupt. Office conversations must be whispered. Need normal volume discussion? Go to a meeting room. Second suggestion, protect uninterrupted 60-minute deep work sessions. During this hour, ignore all chats or emails. Focus solely on your task. But what if someone urgently needs you?
Hence the third suggestion, establish designated office hours.
During these windows, handle queries and assist colleagues. But if your problem arises Monday and their hours are Thursday?
The author's answer, wait until Thursday, find another task, or solve it yourself. At first glance, this seems inefficient, even bureaucratic.
But the authors argue office hours protect everyone's focus time, and during scheduled hours, knowledge sharing becomes more professional. These tips prioritize deep work over hustle. But habits alone aren't enough. Project management matters too. I've organized their advice into 3 phases: preparation, execution, and review. First, the preparation phase. Before projects start, leaders often gather input, draft plans, then hold group discussions. But here's the flaw. Leaders spend weeks preparing, yet expect feedback in 2 hours. The authors warn this prevents comprehensive understanding. Even if feedback is given, it's not thoroughly considered. So, the author suggests project leads must give stakeholders time for calm reflection. Here's Basecamp's approach. When introducing new ideas, leads write detailed docs posted to project tools with feedback deadlines. All stakeholders can review the doc and submit feedback before the cutoff. This yields 2 key benefits. First, the lead's vision gets fully documented for reference anytime. Second, others voice opinions after deliberate consideration. After gathering feedback, the lead's next critical task: realistically assess workload and deadlines. We've all seen deadlines become meaningless, either wildly unrealistic or constantly shifting due to scope creep.
Hence, accurate workload estimation is crucial.
Leads must first separate must-dos from unnecessary tasks. Eliminate fluff, break essentials into steps, identify nice-to-haves, then isolate those extras. Only consider adding them if project timelines allow. Before launch, leads must also calmly handle pressure from bosses. Meaning what?
For critical projects, bosses often declare, we'll complete this at all costs.
The authors warn, challenge this. At all costs discards reasonable expectations, causing severe underestimation of complexity. You'll skip budgeting time, energy, or resources. Of course, true emergencies exist, like major product flaws threatening company reputation without immediate action. But the authors stress, these are extreme rarities. In daily operations, don't let fear of rare crises drive decisions. Stay calm and remind bosses to stay calm too. With prep done, the project begins. The authors believe that the most crucial thing now is to focus energy on the project's core ideas. What does this mean? During projects, new ideas always emerge. They seem great, but should you adopt them? Then what about the original ideas? And the work already underway? The authors suggest spending the first third of project time building a prototype to validate concepts. Is the initial concept actually feasible? Once feasibility is confirmed, focus completely. Even if better ideas emerge later, decisively discard them. Ensure the to-do list shrinks as the project advances. The author's clip: if a better idea arrives after the train left the station, it probably wasn't indispensable enough. If truly superb, it can catch the next train. Post-project, conduct a review. The authors reiterate, calmly accept imperfection. Done is often better than perfect. Though perfection is often praised, almost no one achieves it. Perfection demands insane time, energy, money, trapping work in perpetual frenzy. Simply know what requires excellence versus what's good enough. E.g., critical software bugs affecting core functions demand immediate fixes, pursue excellence. But minor bugs, good enough is acceptable. All right, that concludes part 3. Employees need calm and practical work. First, in-work habits. Don't treat overwork as a badge of honor. Prioritize efficiency, like implementing library rules, protecting 60-minute deep work sessions, fixed email times. In project management, pre-launch, calmly assess workloads and deadlines, and courageously say no to bosses' at all costs demands. During execution, stay focused and discard new ideas. After a project ends, calmly accept its imperfections. Done is better than perfect. With over 2 decades of operation, Basecamp has proven an alternative corporate path exists. Companies can thrive by ignoring market share,
rejecting scale obsession, deliberately staying compact while focusing solely on sustainable profits. For Basecamp, consistent profitability is the fundamental survival strategy. Such businesses aren't pigs flying on trends. They won't crash when winds shift. They're grounded. Thus, they avoid bubble bursts. Perhaps it's time to abandon billion-dollar unicorn dreams and embrace small is beautiful. All right, that concludes our interpretation of Rework 3. Find reading notes below. Until next time.